He had never used money. He had never chosen what to eat.
In North Korea, the Kim dynasty monitors every detail of civilian life, starting with the portraits of the leaders mandated for every home and office. These frames must be kept pristine. Even a thin layer of dust is a punishable offense. It is the visual foundation of a system built on total obedience. But the state's control reaches far beyond the individual offender. Under a policy established by the regime's founder, Kim Il-sung, North Korea strictly enforces a 3-generation punishment. When a citizen is branded a political enemy, the state imprisons them, their parents, and any children born into the family for life. This map shows Camp 14, covering 60 square miles, a militarized isolation zone holding 15,000 prisoners. The perimeter is sealed with high-voltage wire and sniper towers. Geographically, it's hidden in a remote valley, boxed in by 1,200-foot peaks and the freezing Taedong River. The facility was engineered as a terminal system, a total vacuum designed to absorb the state's enemies and permanently erase their existence from the outside world. Shin In-gyun was born into this vacuum in 1982. Because his uncles had fled to South Korea during the war, his grandfather and father were sent here. For the first 13 years of his life, Shin believed the entire world consisted only of prisoners, guards, and the electrified fences that separated them. Psychological conditioning began at birth. Starvation replaced familial bonds with a biological calculus. In a camp where inmates survived on insects and undigested corn, his mother was simply another competitor for the same handful of calories. When Shin was 13, he overheard his mother and older brother whispering about a plan to flee. Terrified he would be executed for their treason, and hoping to earn a larger food ration, Shin went to the night guard and reported them immediately. The guards didn't reward his loyalty. Assuming he was an accomplice, they dragged Shin to an underground cell, suspended him by a hook through his skin, and roasted his back over a coal fire for months. Eventually, he was released, only to watch his mother and brother be executed in front of the camp. Shin felt no grief. He only felt relief that their crime would no longer get him punished. Years later, while working in a textile factory, Shin met a political prisoner named Park. Unlike those born in the camp, Park had lived in the outside world and traveled to China and Germany. He spent hours quietly describing a reality Shin had never imagined. He described a world where people could move freely and eat white rice and meat until they were full. These stories broke the regime's psychological seal. By introducing the concept of a better life, Park gave a survivor who had been stripped of his empathy the one thing the camp was designed to kill: a reason to leave. On January 2, 2005, Shin and Park made their move. They were assigned to a work detail collecting wood near the 1,200-foot mountain perimeter. The air was sub-zero, and the ground was buried in deep, heavy snow. Shin had observed a critical opening. The severe cold had made the guards retreat to their stations for warmth, leaving an uncharacteristically long gap between their patrols. As soon as the guards moved out of sight, the two men sprinted for the wire. Park reached the fence first, but as he tried to slip through, his body made contact with the wire, and a lethal jolt killed him instantly. He remained pinned against the fence, his body smoking from the surge. Shin didn't hesitate. He dropped to the snow and used Park's body as an insulating bridge. By crawling directly over his friend's corpse, Shin shielded himself from the current and slipped safely through the lower wires to the other side. The regime had spent decades destroying Shin's capacity for human attachment. That exact lack of empathy is what allowed him to treat a friend's body as a tool, bypassing a barrier that had stopped every prisoner before him. Shin was outside the camp, but he was far from safe. He was wandering through the mountains with severe electrical burns on his legs, wearing prison rags and possessing no documentation in a country where every movement is tracked. He needed a new identity. Breaking into a farmer's barn, Shin found a discarded North Korean military uniform. He stripped his rags and put it on. This uniform functioned as an entry permit into the upper tiers of society. In a culture governed by rigid hierarchy, the insignias commanded immediate deference. As he walked down public roads, civilians saluted him, allowing an escaped prisoner to move through the country without question. Shin traveled north until he reached the Chinese border. the final national perimeter, where guard towers overlook the frozen Tumen River. Shin approached the guards directly. Posing as a military officer, he used money he had earned from stolen goods to offer them a bribe of food and cigarettes. The state's failure to provide for its own military had left the border guards hungry and desperate. That poverty created the exact vulnerability Shin needed to buy his way out of North Korea. Shin spent months working as a laborer in China, constantly evading the police who would have deported him back to a death camp. Eventually, in Shanghai, he met a journalist and decided to reveal his identity. The journalist helped him reach the South Korean embassy, which secured his asylum. His life as a fugitive was finally over. He later moved to the United States. To mark his transition into the free world, he left his camp identity behind, changing his name from Shin In-gyun to Shin Dong-hyuk. His survival presented a direct challenge to the Kim regime. For decades, North Korea denied the existence of political prisons. Shin provided the first-hand, irrefutable evidence, validated by the scars of torture and the burns from the electric fence. Today, Shin works with human rights organizations to ensure the world cannot ignore what is happening inside those fences. His survival turned him from a secret they tried to bury into their most visible critic. North Korea built Camp 14 to crush the human spirit. But in doing so, they forged a survivor capable of using their own cruelty against them and exposing their darkest secrets to the world.